Hi friends, it's Danielle with Northlawn Flower Farm. Today we're going to be getting out into the garden and doing some cleanup. It's late February and we're having an absolutely beautiful day. It's about 61 degrees Fahrenheit, and I thought let's spend all day out in the garden getting as much cleaned up as possible. We need to cut back some ornamental grasses, cut down some perennials such as obedience plant and catmint that I left up through the winter. I'm also going to be moving a Vitex tree, and I'll tell you more about why I want to do that as we move it. And also, I'm going to get started on pruning my panicle hydrangeas. I'm doing this garden cleanup a little bit earlier than I normally would, and that's because I planted so many spring bulbs in both the main flower walk and the driveway garden that I'm trying to get this cleanup done early so that I don't step on all of my beautiful flowering bulbs. It has been so warm here this winter. Today it's 61 degrees, the other day it was 63 degrees. So all the bulbs are basically pushing through the earth already, and it's only February 18th. So I thought I better get out here, clean things up, rake as much as I can so that these bulbs can really come through the earth undisturbed by me. So the first thing that we're going to do is clean up most of my ornamental grasses. When we first moved in, I planted a lot of ornamental grasses, mainly because they were inexpensive and there were certain things I was trying to block. But I feel like this was a mistake on my part. I made a couple mistakes. Well, I'm always making mistakes, but I definitely made some big mistakes early on. And as the years have gone on, I'm kind of paying for those mistakes. Hopefully this year I can fix some of them. But the first year or two, we were able to burn these ornamental grasses at a neighbor's house. But that property has since sold, and so now I either have to compost all these grasses, which I try to compost as much as possible, but since I have so many of them, my compost pile just isn't big enough. And we don't really have a property that allows for burning on the level that would be necessary for this. So what we have to do now is load up the truck with all these ornamental grasses and pay to take them per load to a composting facility. So I was trying to save money at the beginning, and what happened is that I think I actually ended up spending more because this is money that I have to spend every single year taking these to a composting facility. So a lesson learned the hard way. I wish I would have gone for more evergreens and less ornamental grasses. Here's another mistake I made early on. I planted this Vitex shrub in the front of the border. I had heard a very famous gardener who's in a much warmer zone than myself say that the Vitex in colder zones, like a zone I'm in, would die back to the ground and would stay small. Well, mine didn't do that. It really did turn into a tree, but the main reason why I don't like it in the front of the border is because it doesn't leaf out until very, very, very late in the season. And being in a prime spot in the front there of the border, it just wasn't something that I wanted to wait on leafing out. So now it's living in the back of the border. It's about a half hour later now. I popped inside to take a shower and get changed after cleaning up all of those grasses. I was really a mess. But now let's get after some of these panicle hydrangeas. Once again, I'm only doing this so early in the season because of all the flowering bulbs. You might even be able to see I'm accidentally stepping on some alliums as I'm cutting this shrub back. The way I like to handle panicle hydrangeas is to take them back by about a third. I cut right above a node, which is the two little dots that you see where the leaves come out when you look at the branches. I like to cut right above there. I like to basically take out any small or weak branches. I air out the middle of the shrub and take away anything that looks dead, diseased, or dying. Well, I already said dead, so dead and diseased. But here's Grace relaxing in the raised beds. I'm making some more progress over there that I'm going to show you soon. But let's just continue to get after all of these panicle hydrangeas. This panicle hydrangea that we're going to be pruning next, I think is about 4 years old, maybe 5 years. And now let's move on and prune some of my boxwood, just shaping them up ever so slightly, nothing major. I was reading on the Next Gen website, which they make boxwoods that are resistant to boxwood blight, which we deal with here in our area, Zone 6B, Southern Pennsylvania. They recommended a late winter pruning of boxwood, so I thought I would take their advice and give these a little trim today. Now, as we move on to some of my older, bigger limelight hydrangeas, I just want to take time to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and opinions on the raised bed garden. I have been telling you that I was struggling with the pot and the bird bath and just the whole situation that was going on over there after we put in the deck. And a lot of people recommended keeping the pot and getting rid of everything else. They really felt like, or the people that commented that rather, really felt like the scale of the pot was right for the area. And I completely agree. That pot is a plastic terracotta pot. It was given to me. I'm super thankful that it was given to me, but it's not something that I would have purchased for the area. And so what I've actually decided to do is, just like in Sarah Raven's garden, I'm going to be hunting at antique stores for a large round wooden table that's about the size of that pot to rest in that area. Just a table where she puts her cut flowers as she arranges them. I think that'll be really beautiful. And then we will relocate the bird bath to somewhere else. So the limelight that we're working on here now is about 7 or 8 years old. It was one of the first shrubs that I ever planted on this property. I have one older limelight. That one must be maybe 15 years old. And I brought it with us from our old home because I love them so much. That one's located over in a tiny garden, kind of right off our back addition. I think I might have showed you that before. But definitely after 7 or 8 years, it's the same exact size as the one that's 15 years old. So I did prune this back pretty severely, but don't worry, it can take it. I do this to it every single year, and it comes back nice and strong for me, really nice, strong branching with really big flower heads. So here we are, raking again. Maybe I should just title this video Raking. But I guess what's there to do in February besides rake away the winter blues, right? I'm really excited to get planting in the main flower walk this year. I'm so excited to be taking it back to jewel tones with reds, oranges, purples, some deep raspberries, and some blues. I think it's going to be really, really beautiful. Now we're over here in the driveway garden where a lot of the alliums have also started to emerge, and we're going to be taking care of this catmint border I created a few years back. This catmint is from divisions on the property. Catmint just seems to multiply overnight. I feel like I could even divide it in the spring and again in the fall. It grows so quickly. But I'm pretty much just cutting it all the way back down to the ground. I can see new growth at the base, so I'm not cutting into that per se, but just cleaning everything up and getting ready to have a beautiful spring with lots of fresh plants. Let me know what your favorite month in the garden is. You know, growing up as a young girl and even as a young woman when I first got married, I think I really loved the peak of summer, you know, August, when things got really, really hot. But the older I get and as 40 approaches closer than I would like to admit, I think my favorite month is May. I just absolutely love the May garden. But let me know what you think, and let me know if your opinion on what your favorite month has changed as you've gotten older. So this job is always very satisfying, and I'm also going to be cleaning up some crocosmia. That's what you see me doing now. I just pull that right out of the ground. I think I put in an order for about 50 or 100 more crocosmia bulbs, and we're going to be adding those into the main flower walk. Now, unfortunately, they will not bloom this year. Now, we may get 1 or 2 blooms, but crocosmia really needs 2 years to get going. The difference between year 1 and year 2 on newly planted crocosmia bulbs is really a night and day experience. But here we are, raking again, raking, raking, raking. Well, friends, I think this pretty much brings me to the end of garden cleanup today. It's time for me to take shower number 2 and head to parent pickup at school. So I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.